Welcome back, everyone. Episode 3, Show and Tell. I'm Billy, and you've been hearing me talk for a while about my Aunt Matilda, the best knitter I've ever met in my entire life. And I've been promising to show you some of her knitwear, so today is the day. So let's just get right down to it. Matilda passed away in the early 60s, and she was somebody who could knit in the dark. She could go to the movie theater and be knitting, including knitting sequins, while she was watching a movie. I guess I'm following a little in her footsteps. I can't exactly knit in the dark. I do have to look from time to time at what I'm knitting, but I am able to lie in bed and watch a movie and knit at the same time. So, Aunt Matilda, I'm catching up to you. I have 3 different things that she made. Unfortunately, there was another one. I don't know where it went after she died. But the first thing I want to show you, and it's going to be a little hard, is this melon color dress. That's pretty true color. Yeah. We might have to take a still shot and insert it here. So you can see that she did some special treatment at the waist, and the arm has this seed stitch going around, and then she made a little fold back collar. This collar is stitched down. She didn't leave to chance that it would fall in the wrong place. Here's a close-up look of how she seamed her shoulder. And in the back, you'll see that she did darts. She was very slim. I think by today's standards, she'd probably be a size 2. Sometimes there's elastic in the waist. This particular garment does not have elastic in the waist, but here's her seam. Kind of perfect. Little split hem. Let's have a look at that from the outside. Nicely how she did it, overlapping. So I imagine when this dress was hanging on her that it hung just perfectly. That split seam, that it wasn't pulling open or anything. Now, the dress alone is not remarkable, but wait, there's more. There's a belt with a tassels on either end, long belt. I would say that belt's about 40 inches long. And wait, there's more. A darling bolero jacket in sort of a harlequin idea where half of it is coral with the ivory sleeve and the other half is white with a coral sleeve and little tassels around the cuffs. These sleeves are 3/4 length. Let me slip this on so you can at least see that. I wore this when I was in high school. I never fit into the dress, but the little jacket I could fit into, and the jacket still fits me, although I haven't worn it. Let me see if I can tilt my screen down. So imagine that. Pretty cool, huh? Yes, if you were wondering, these are sequins that I'm wearing. This is not a hand knit. Don't get excited. But my theme today is sequins, so I thought I'd treat you to that. Okay, next object. Purple mohair dress. She didn't just do sweaters, she did outfits. She did the whole 9 yards. Now this one does have elastic in the waist. So first look at the bodice. I don't even know what this stitch is. The yarn feels like mohair, but for those of you who are using mohair today, I can attest to the fact that it's nothing like mohair back in the day. Mohair used to be itchy. I knit with it 30 or 40 years ago, and it was horrible. In the finished garment, it would be like picking at you. So I'm not sure what possessed her to knit this in mohair, but the color is very beautiful. I don't know if you can see. Let me try and get, yeah, that's pretty much the true color. It's like a purpley grape. The back neckline treatment, buttons, and a little keyhole under the buttons. So this would go pretty far down her back. I would say that's about 7 inches above the waist. And let's take a close-up look at the buttons. These are not manufactured buttons from a button shop. They're covered with yarn, so it's a perfect match. She didn't do a split hem on this, but she does her signature Matilda hem, which is like that. It's stockinette, but then I think that she does a row of purl to give it a fold, so that when you fold it under, the edge is just perfect. And the stitching that she used, it looks like she used thread, commercial thread, to go around the hem. I just found a hole that I'm very upset about. Oops. I wanted you to see the inside of this one because I do believe that there's elastic in this waist. Yes. So all circling the waist, she stitched in this elastic. Look how evenly, how neatly, like a machine, all the way around. Okay. I'm probably going to insert something here, my little tutorial on how to knit with sequins. So let's just say there's break here. Okay, today I'm going to try and show you how to knit with sequins. First of all, you have to have a fairly fine yarn. It could be lace weight or even fingering. And the reason I didn't precast on is going to become evident in a moment. And then you have your sequins. Now, if you're really knitting with sequins, you need a lot of them. They come
pre-strung. You don't want the ones that are like in a little bag, because then you'll have to string them, which is annoying. So these are pre-strung, and if you'll notice, the thread going through it is doubled, and there's a loop at that end. This end is knotted so that the sequins don't fall off. And what you do is you take your yarn and you pass it through that loop like so. And then you take, I'm just going to do a few sequins so you get the idea. You take your sequins, as many as you think you might need, and you load them onto the yarn. You just push them across, slide them down, and then you can release your yarn from that loop. Put your sequins aside, and they are on your yarn in the proper orientation. Now you go about casting on. Now I'm going to slide some sequins down into place. About a ½ inch apart, should be reasonably good. And we're going to put sequins on every other stitch, every other row. So I'll just knit the first stitch, and then the next stitch is going to get a sequin. So I go in as if I'm going to knit, and I just pop that sequin right through the hole, and there you have your first sequin. Let me get these out of the way. They're a little too close. Now I'm going to knit a stitch without a sequin. And now I'll get a sequin in there. So you just push it through as you're knitting that stitch. And I'll do more of them, so don't panic if you missed it the first time. Okay, now I'm going to have to purl back. Bear with me a second. So this is a row that's not going to have sequins. This is not normally how I knit, but with so few stitches, it's a little awkward. Okay, now next row, we're going to get sequins. So wherever I didn't have a sequin before, that's where I'm going to put a sequin. So they're going to be staggered. So in this case, the first stitch will get a sequin. So it becomes like a fish scales. Grab my yarn and push the sequin through. There it is. Next stitch, no sequin. And now a sequin stitch. No sequin. I don't do this every day of the week. I haven't done it in like 20 years, so pardon me if I'm a little bit rusty, but I'll keep going, so hopefully you can see. Whoops, this one's, there we go. And you can see it's starting to take shape. They alternate. The finer your yarn, the tighter the fish scales will be. I should say the smaller the gauge. So this row is going to have no sequins as we purl back. And I'll do one more row and hopefully that'll do it for you. Okay. So, first stitch has a sequin already in it, so I'm not putting a sequin on top of it because remember I want to stagger them. So none there, but the next stitch will get a sequin. Oops, they're too close together. Now no sequin. And sequin. And we'll finish that row without a sequin. And they do tend to move around, but basically you want to get them to be on the front of your work. And the effect is pretty if they're not all perfect, because the light catches it in different ways. But if I did more, you would eventually see a pattern, and you'll see it in the Matilda dress that I'll show you. Okay.
This is her sequin dress. It's bronze. The yarn is a very beige color. Notice how the sequins are in this checkerboard pattern. But then when you get to the waist, it's solid. Solid sequins all the way around, which in my tutorial you will learn solid isn't solid. Solid means staggered every other stitch. To get that fish scale effect. And the sequins go all the way down to the bottom of this dress. I wish that you could see how tiny the stitches are. I should probably have taken the gauge. I will do that, and I'll put the information on the screen, because I'm guessing that this was with a 0 or a 1 needle, US, not millimeters. Teensy, teensy little needle. On the inside, it looks like that. So you can see the little glimmer of the sequins showing through, because it's not every single stitch. Have a look at that seam, would you? You ever see anything like that? If I didn't know better, I would think that this was machine made and sewn together on a machine, but it's not. It is not. This is hand knit by a master. Here's the armhole. Perfect. Perfection. everywhere. Perfect. Let's look at the shoulder. Oh, this you can't believe. Here's the shoulder. The sequins just continue right across. Here's the inside of the shoulder. So, having seen that, I felt like it really behooved me to learn how to knit with sequins. And many years ago, I did just that. And I had knit a couple of things with sequins, but years ago, it was really not in vogue. I got rid of them, unfortunately, because I would have loved to have shown them to you today. Anyway, that is our real vintage. We're talking how many years? 1960s, that's 40, 60 years ago. These things were knit. And boy, do I wish I could knit like that. Okay, over and out. See you next time. Hope you're all doing well. Feel free to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.